What's shaking, bacon? Today I'm going to discuss some positives and negatives of doing the carnivore diet, specifically around things that I miss. I would say, in order, it's not so much just any foods, it's how long into this way of eating that I miss these things. Because I don't really miss anything that much right now to any serious degree. The first week of doing a zero or low carb diet, you cut out all the junk food. So you're gonna go through withdrawals and cravings with that. So yeah, obviously the first couple days, you feel like crap. That's withdrawal symptoms from sugar and carbohydrates. You get a headache by the middle of each day, and for me it was usually a 2-day thing. And by the end of that second day, it'd go away. And it takes probably about the first week, you feel pretty bad. By the end of the second week, not so bad. You still have cravings for the first few weeks. It's not uncommon. Depends on how bad your sort of food or sugar addiction was. So people will have cravings. And with these cravings, it's whatever your personal weakness is. Some people, they have a hard time with ice cream. Some people, it's cake. Some people, it's cookies. Some people, it's fill in the blank. So for me, it was definitely ice cream and pizza. Oh boy, and I always will love ice cream and pizza. But those were the big things that I had to watch, carbs in general. And when you go zero carb, the nice thing is once you cut all those carbs out of your diet, you stop craving carbs. So just because you stop craving French fries, if you have French fries, you're not just going to crave French fries, you're going to crave anything that's sugar, turns to sugar in the body. I'd say it took about a month before I was feeling good enough that the cravings were very manageable, but they were still there. 2 months, you feel pretty good. You don't really have cravings anymore. I wouldn't test myself at a buffet or being hungry going to somebody's house and maybe that stuff sitting right in front of me. I'm not saying I would have given in, but that's usually something that would be like a trigger for me. 3 months in, you're kind of bulletproof. And now I've been doing zero carb on and off for years, and I've been doing it steady all year now for the year of 2021, and I'm in the middle of October. And I feel pretty bulletproof as far as cravings go. My worst craving for any of the foods that I like doesn't even register as a 1 out of 10. Even if I get really hungry, it doesn't register for me. So I also like my starchy vegetables, potatoes, French fries. They're all the different ways you could have potatoes. I love potatoes. Especially my mom makes beautiful mashed potatoes. Everyone's mom makes the best mashed potatoes. It's just the way the world is, right? Once again, I did miss them. You don't miss them after a while. You don't miss these foods because it's liberating not being addicted to these foods. So it's restrictive in the way that you're limiting what kind of foods you can eat, but it's liberating at the same time because you don't think about those foods all day long. You don't give in to temptations all day long. If there's something I do have a little bit of a craving for, is if I see a really good Caesar salad in front of me, I have to admit, I could go to town on that more than I would with ice cream or pizza, believe it or not. It's such a small evil because it's mainly lettuce. It'd be easy to give in on, but honestly, it's a 1 out of 10 for me, whereas the others don't even make it up to a 1 out of 10 for things that I miss. So most things for me are a 0 out of 10 for foods that I miss. I can't say I stopped loving them, but I don't love how I felt when I was eating them. So that brings us to the next issue. Things I don't miss being on a carnivore diet. I don't miss being addicted to carbs. That's something that you give into carbs like a smoker gives into cigarettes. Not everybody, but I do. And lots of other people do too. Your food rules you. And when something rules you, there's a problem. One of the things I also don't miss, the second one, is stiff joints. The first time I went zero carb in 2013, the winter of 2013, 2014, this was pretty cool. This was a real eye-opener. I used to wake up in the mornings and I would have been mid-30s. my joints were just stiff. It wasn't, I would take one step at a time, sometimes with a hand on the railing, hand on the wall, one step, and then a regular step. And then by the time I got to the bottom of the steps, I could walk pretty good. If I was watching a movie and I'd get up at the end of the movie, my joints would be stiff, mainly my ankles and knees. So that went away within 3 full days of doing zero carbohydrates. 3 days. I always thought that was a big guy issue. I didn't even consider the fact it was arthritis. I just thought it was because there was a lot of weight on my joints. No, it wasn't a big guy thing, though I'm sure that didn't help, but it was an inflammation issue. My joints felt amazing going zero carb. I moved like I was in my early 20s. And it's sad to say that I was only in my mid 30s saying that about my mid 20s. But it's true. Some people don't get that till their mid 40s or 50s. Some people may not get that much at all. And maybe it's because they watch their diet or they're active enough and they're burning those carbs efficiently. But nonetheless, joint stiffness was a big thing that went away within a few days. And I've had lots of friends who have tried this and they experienced the same thing, usually after the 3-day window. I would start on the Monday and I'd get to Tuesday and Wednesday. And each day the burning sensation in my ankles would get worse and worse. By the end of Wednesday night, I was like, oh man, my ankles burn. Why is that? And then Thursday morning, I'd wake up and it was like the humidity broke after a storm. And I remember I stood up and walked for the first time and I just walked normal. I just got out of bed and walked without hesitating, without having to stand up and then straighten out and then hobble to the bathroom. I just got out of bed and just walked. And I thought, what did I just do? And then I walked down the stairs and that was when it really hit me. And I just walked down the stairs normally. I had inflammation and didn't realize it. And if you have inflammation in your joints, you probably have systemic inflammation as well. So now we're worried about other systems in your body, right? So especially if you're a guy in your 30s or 40s, your circulatory system. Inflammation in your body is going to cause all sorts of damage that you didn't know you were going through because you've learned to live with it. And you just saw lots of people just chalk it up to age. And that's not what it is. The third thing, snoring. Within 2 weeks of going carnivore, most people's snoring dies down or stops dramatically, especially if they do a more strict version of it without dairy. And that brings me to my fourth point. I don't need 8 or 9 or sometimes 10 hours of sleep a night. Get by on 6 hours of sleep a night very comfortably. I'd like to have 7, but 6 I get by with just fine. Sometimes I even get 5, 5.5, and I function very well on that throughout the day. I'd rather get 7, but this is the way it is sometimes. So I've been taking some sleep aids lately just to see if I could tweak this a little bit. I don't miss being as overweight as I was. That's another thing. It's easy to do everything else in life and not battling inflammation, because if you're losing weight and you still have the inflammation issues as you're losing weight, that's slowly going to get better. But when that goes away within a few days, you can all of a sudden go out for long walks. You can go out and jog. I've been jogging for a while now, and I'm a 335-pound guy, and I jog barefoot, and I have no joint problems anymore. I don't miss being so grossly overweight. I'm still obese, but I'm not overweight like I was, and it's trending in the right direction. The lack of energy, that's another one. Lack of energy. I don't get tired through the day. Sometimes, along with that is crashing. I rarely get that now. Rarely get that. My energy is even keel. You don't get high points, you don't get low points. Even when I used to do a bodybuilder's diet, my energy was pretty even keel all through the day, and it was nice. But it was more like this. Instead of like highs and lows through the day, because my diet was really off, and I did more of a bodybuilder's diet where there's specific amounts of protein, carbs, and fats you're getting every 2 or 3 hours throughout the day. Your blood sugar kind of does this, right? It's not nearly as bad with the highs and lows, but you're feeling good, and then you go maybe 3 hours without a meal and you're gonna hit a low, and then you're gonna feel like crap, and then you get hangry, and that's not fun. Not fun for you, and it's not fun for anyone around you, right? And it's not my nature to be pissy, and I would get hangry. So That was better than the big spikes, but overall it was pretty good, but as long as you stayed on top of it. And that's where a lot of the work comes in, right? And that's where carnivore is really easy, because carnivore, you stay full for such a long period of time when you eat. Your energy's flowing more like this, and it's just always good. So there's no highs or lows, unless you do something silly like really exhaust yourself with an exercise, or like a long intense exercise, or a really 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 heavy meal in quantity. So, and I can still do that. So my blood work, number 8, my blood work is much better. So I don't miss having bad blood work. All my numbers are perfect or on the way to getting better. My cholesterol is still high. My overall cholesterol, my quote unquote bad cholesterol, but apparently that's normal. You can do some research on this with Dr. Ken Berry and Dr. Sean Baker. You can find them on YouTube and track down their thoughts on cholesterol, and you'll see. And there's other channels you can watch as well with doctors that talk about this. When you're fat adapted, your cholesterol naturally goes higher because you're using fat as fuel. So that's floating through your blood more. Number 9, this one's not nearly as big as the other ones, but difficulty buying clothes. Now I can go into a Costco and fit into most XXL stuff. So those are some pretty big things. And most of those things are a big part of your day-to-day life. And when those things get into check, you get your life back. You have so much more time to do all these other things. So people say, oh, it's a really restrictive diet, I could never do it. It frees up a lot more time in your life to do all these other things you've wanted to do. Think about how great it would feel to have 2 extra hours a day. Think about that, because you're getting by on less sleep. 2 hours a day to yourself, personal time, productive time, do whatever you want with it. It's an extra 2 hours a day. Some people get more. There's lots of positives and negatives to eating this way. Doing the lion diet is, I still call it the carnivore diet because it falls into that category of the carnivore diet, but it's still a more strict version of it. And I've noticed just today, I always had like a white coating on my tongue, the candida. And I noticed about three or 4 days ago, actually, it's been gone. I've been doing carnivore all year, and finally going to the lion diet, it's gone consistently throughout the day. The odd time I still might see it there, it's 10% of what it was. So that didn't change until I switched over to the lion diet. That concludes the video for today. Yeah, we'll touch base, and I hope you keep doing well and take care. Bye-bye.